What if the most profound mystery in quantum physics isn't happening in distant laboratories, but right now, inside your own mind? Recent research suggests that the same quantum entanglement that Einstein called spooky action at a distance might be quietly orchestrating the symphony of consciousness within your brain. As you listen to these words, billions of neurons are firing in perfect synchronization across your skull, and scientists are beginning to wonder if this remarkable coordination might be powered by the strangest force in the universe. Welcome to another gentle exploration where science meets wonder. I'm here to guide you through one of the most fascinating frontiers in neuroscience, where the microscopic world of quantum mechanics brushes against the vast landscape of human consciousness. Tonight, we're asking whether quantum entanglement, that mysterious phenomenon where particles remain connected across impossible distances, might hold the key to unlocking hidden powers within your own mind. Before we dive deeper, find a comfortable position. Let your breathing settle into a natural rhythm. The ideas we'll explore together don't require you to memorize formulas or grasp complex equations. They simply ask you to wonder, to let your imagination wander through the quantum gardens of possibility that might be blooming inside your brain at this very moment. For decades, neuroscientists have marveled at a simple yet profound puzzle. Your brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons, each one a microscopic universe of electrical activity. These neurons must coordinate their firing patterns with extraordinary precision to create the seamless experience of consciousness you're having right now. As you process these words, recognize my voice, and perhaps feel a sense of curiosity or calm. Millions of brain cells across different regions are somehow synchronizing their activity in perfect harmony. This synchronization happens far too quickly for traditional models of neural communication to explain. Electrical signals traveling along nerve fibers, while impressively fast, simply aren't quick enough to account for the millisecond precision with which your brain coordinates complex thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. It's as if an orchestra of billions of musicians were playing in perfect unison without a conductor, somehow keeping time through an invisible thread that connects them all. Enter quantum entanglement, a phenomenon so strange that even Albert Einstein struggled to accept it. When two particles become entangled, they form a connection that transcends the ordinary limits of space and time. Measure one particle, and its entangled partner responds instantaneously, regardless of the distance separating them. This spooky action at a distance has been verified in countless laboratory experiments, yet it remains one of the most counterintuitive aspects of quantum mechanics. Now imagine if your neurons could somehow harness this quantum connection. Instead of relying solely on the relatively slow transmission of electrical impulses, they might communicate through quantum entanglement, enabling the instantaneous coordination that consciousness seems to require. This isn't merely science fiction anymore. Researchers are discovering compelling evidence that quantum effects might indeed play a crucial role in how your brain processes information and generates conscious experience. Take a moment to consider what's happening as you listen to this. Your auditory cortex is processing these sound waves. Your language centers are decoding meaning. Your memory systems are connecting these ideas to your existing knowledge. And your emotional centers are generating feelings of curiosity, wonder, or perhaps skepticism. All of this happens seamlessly, effortlessly, in the eternal now of your conscious experience. What if quantum entanglement is the invisible thread weaving these disparate brain processes into the unified tapestry of your awareness? Recent groundbreaking research from Chinese scientists has proposed a remarkable mechanism by which quantum entanglement might emerge within the very structure of your brain. They focused their attention on something called myelin sheaths, the fatty protective coatings that surround your nerve fibres like insulation around electrical wires. These myelin sheaths, it turns out, might be far more than simple biological insulation. The researchers suggest that within these cylindrical myelin structures, a fascinating quantum dance might be unfolding. As your cells metabolize nutrients through what's called the tricarboxylic acid cycle, they release cascades of infrared photons. These photons interact with the carbon-hydrogen bonds in the lipid molecules that make up your myelin sheaths, exciting them to higher energy states. When these bonds transition back to lower energy states, they release their own photons, creating what the scientists describe as a cascade of photons within the confined geometry of the myelin sheath. Here's where it gets truly extraordinary. The cylindrical shape of myelin sheaths creates what physicists call a cavity, and within these biological cavities, the laws of quantum electrodynamics suggest that entangled photon pairs could spontaneously emerge. These entangled photons might then serve as quantum messengers, carrying information instantaneously between different parts of your brain through what the researchers term a quantum communication resource. As you absorb this idea, notice how it challenges our everyday understanding of how the brain works. Instead of viewing your neurons as isolated processing units connected only by chemical and electrical signals, this quantum perspective suggests they might be part of a vast interconnected quantum network, where information can flow instantaneously across the neural landscape of your mind. But this is still a speculative idea, not a proven scientific fact. The brain, after all, is a warm, wet, noisy environment that most physicists would consider hostile to delicate quantum effects. Quantum states typically require extreme isolation from environmental interference to survive. How could quantum entanglement persist in the bustling biological city of your brain, where countless molecular interactions are constantly occurring? The answer might lie in evolution's remarkable ability to find elegant solutions to complex problems. Consider photosynthesis, the process by which plants convert sunlight into chemical energy. For decades, scientists assumed this was a purely classical process, but recent research has revealed that plants use quantum coherence to achieve near-perfect energy transfer efficiency. The photosynthetic machinery in plants has evolved sophisticated mechanisms to protect and harness quantum effects, even in the noisy biological environment of living cells. Similarly, migratory birds have evolved to use quantum entanglement as a navigation system. Within specialized proteins in their eyes called cryptochromes, birds create quantum entangled electron pairs that are sensitive to Earth's magnetic field. This quantum compass allows them to literally see magnetic fields, enabling navigation across thousands of miles with extraordinary precision. If evolution has found ways to harness quantum effects for photosynthesis and navigation, why not for the ultimate challenge of consciousness? The implications of quantum entanglement in the brain extend far beyond mere neural synchronization. If your neurons can indeed become quantum entangled, it might help explain some of the most puzzling aspects of consciousness. How does your brain bind together the diverse sensory inputs from sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell into a single, unified, conscious experience? Classical neuroscience struggles to explain this binding problem, but quantum entanglement offers an elegant solution. Imagine that neurons processing visual information in your occipital cortex become entangled with neurons processing auditory information in your temporal cortex. Through quantum correlation, these distant brain regions could instantly share information, creating the seamless multisensory experience of watching a bird sing in a tree. The visual information about the bird's colourful plumage becomes quantum correlated with the auditory information about its melodic song, binding them together into a single coherent conscious experience. This quantum binding might extend beyond sensory integration to encompass all aspects of consciousness. Your memories, emotions, thoughts, and perceptions might all be woven together through an invisible web of quantum entanglement that creates the unified field of your awareness. Instead of consciousness emerging from the classical interactions of neurons, it might arise from the quantum correlations that connect every part of your brain into a single, coherent quantum system. Recent experimental evidence is beginning to support these revolutionary ideas. In a landmark 2025 study, researchers analysed data from over 200 participants, including monozygotic twins, to investigate how quantum entanglement might influence cognitive performance. The results were striking. The researchers found that quantum entanglement in stimulus configurations explained over 13% of the variance in learning accuracy, providing some of the first direct experimental evidence linking quantum effects to cognitive function. These findings suggest that your ability to learn, remember, and process information might be enhanced by quantum mechanical effects occurring within your brain. When you have that sudden aha moment of insight, when a complex problem suddenly becomes clear, or when you experience the flow state of effortless concentration, quantum entanglement might be orchestrating these peak moments of mental performance. The quantum perspective on consciousness also intersects with one of the most profound questions in neuroscience and philosophy: the nature of free will. If your brain operates according to classical physics alone, your thoughts and decisions might be entirely determined by prior causes, leaving no room for genuine choice. But quantum mechanics introduces an element of fundamental randomness into the universe, and some researchers argue that this quantum indeterminacy might provide the physical basis for free will. As you contemplate this possibility, consider the decisions you're making right now. Are you choosing to continue listening, or to let your mind wander, or perhaps to pause and reflect? If quantum effects influence neural processing, your choices might not be entirely predetermined by classical physics. Instead, they might emerge from the quantum uncertainty that exists at the deepest levels of physical reality, giving you genuine agency in shaping your thoughts and actions. This brings us to one of the most ambitious theories in consciousness research: orchestrated objective reduction, or OR, developed by physicist Sir Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff. This theory proposes that consciousness arises from quantum computations occurring within microtubules, the cylindrical protein structures that form part of your cell's internal skeleton. Microtubules are fascinating structures composed of tubulin proteins arranged in precise geometric patterns. The tubulin subunits contain hydrophobic pockets that might harbour delocalized electrons, the quantum entities that could enable quantum computation within your brain cells. According to OR OR theory, these microtubules orchestrate quantum processes that correlate with and regulate your normal synaptic activity, creating the phenomenon of consciousness through quantum mechanical effects. Recent experimental support for this theory has emerged from unexpected directions. Researchers studying anesthesia have found that drugs which bind to microtubules significantly delay the onset of unconsciousness, suggesting that microtubules might indeed play a crucial role in maintaining conscious awareness. Additionally, scientists have detected quantum vibrations within brain microtubules that correlate with brainwave patterns, providing further evidence that quantum processes might contribute to consciousness. As you reflect on these ideas, you might wonder what it would feel like to directly experience the quantum nature of your own consciousness. Some researchers in the emerging field of quantum cognition have discovered that human decision-making exhibits quantum-like properties that cannot be explained by classical probability theory. When people answer sequences of questions, their responses show interference effects that mirror the quantum superposition and measurement phenomena observed in physics laboratories. This suggests that your mind might naturally operate according to quantum principles, even if you're not consciously aware of it. Your thoughts might exist in superposition states, exploring multiple possibilities simultaneously until the moment of decision collapses them into a single choice. Your memories might be quantum entangled, allowing associations and insights to emerge through non-local connections that transcend the classical boundaries of neural networks. The quantum perspective on consciousness also offers new ways to understand the relationship between mind and reality. If consciousness involves quantum processes, and quantum mechanics suggests that observation plays a fundamental role in determining physical outcomes, then consciousness might be more than a passive observer of reality. Some interpretations suggest that conscious observation might participate in the ongoing creation of the universe through quantum measurement, though this remains a highly speculative and unproven idea with no scientific consensus. What's certain is that quantum entanglement research is opening new frontiers in neuroscience, cognitive science, and our understanding of consciousness itself. Scientists are developing innovative experimental techniques to investigate quantum effects in living brains, using modified MRI scanners to detect quantum entanglement between proton spins in brain tissue. Early results suggest that these quantum correlations might indeed exist and could be linked to consciousness-related brain activity. As we continue our exploration of quantum consciousness, remember that we're venturing into territory where science meets mystery, where the most rigorous research intersects with the deepest questions about the nature of mind and reality. The ideas we're discussing represent the cutting edge of human knowledge, where today's speculation might become tomorrow's breakthrough understanding. In our next segment, we'll delve deeper into the practical implications of quantum consciousness. We'll explore how quantum effects might influence learning, memory, and cognitive performance, and investigate whether understanding these quantum processes might unlock new potentials within your own mind. We'll also examine the fascinating parallels between quantum mechanics and ancient wisdom traditions that have long recognized the interconnected nature of consciousness and reality. But for now, simply rest in the wonder of possibility. As you listen to these words, quantum processes might be dancing through the neural networks of your brain, weaving together the threads of thought and feeling that create your unique conscious experience. Whether or not science ultimately confirms the role of quantum entanglement in consciousness, the mere possibility invites us to view our minds with new reverence and curiosity. The quantum realm reminds us that reality is far stranger and more beautiful than our everyday experience suggests. At the deepest levels of existence, particles dance in mysterious entanglement. Information travels instantaneously across impossible distances, and the very act of observation participates in the unfolding of the universe. If these quantum mysteries extend into the realm of consciousness, then your mind might be not just a product of classical biology, but a quantum phenomenon that connects you to the fundamental fabric of reality itself. Fabric of reality itself. The question of how quantum entanglement might actually manifest in your daily experience brings us to one of the most intriguing areas of research: the relationship between quantum processes and learning itself. As you sit here, absorbing new concepts and forming neural connections, some scientists believe quantum effects might be quietly enhancing your to process and retain information. Consider how learning actually unfolds in your brain. When you encounter a new idea, neurons that have never communicated before must somehow find each other across the vast neural landscape of your mind. Traditional neuroscience suggests this happens through chemical signals and electrical impulses, a process that can take milliseconds or even seconds. But what if quantum entanglement allows certain neurons to connect instantaneously, creating those sudden moments of understanding that feel almost magical? Recent studies have begun to explore this possibility in fascinating ways. Researchers have found that when people are in states of deep learning or creative insight, their brain activity shows patterns that seem to mirror quantum coherence. The synchronization between distant brain regions becomes more pronounced, as if invisible threads were suddenly connecting previously separate neural networks into unified processing systems. This quantum enhancement of learning might explain why some educational techniques work better than others. When you're relaxed, curious, and open to new possibilities, your brain might be more capable of maintaining the delicate quantum states that facilitate rapid learning and insight. The stress and anxiety that often accompany traditional learning environments might disrupt these quantum processes, making it harder for your neurons to form the entangled connections that enable deep understanding. As you contemplate this possibility, notice how your own mind feels right now. Are you experiencing that pleasant state of relaxed attention where complex ideas seem to flow naturally into understanding? This might be your brain's quantum processing systems operating at their optimal level, creating the coherent neural states that make learning feel effortless and enjoyable. The implications extend far beyond the classroom. If quantum entanglement enhances learning, it might also play a crucial role in memory formation and retrieval. Your memories aren't stored in single locations, like files on a computer hard drive. Instead, they're distributed across multiple brain regions with different aspects of a memory: visual, auditory, emotional, contextual, stored in specialized areas throughout your brain. When you recall a memory, say the smell of your grandmother's kitchen or the sound of rain on a summer evening, your brain must somehow coordinate the activation of all these distributed memory fragments to reconstruct the complete experience. This process happens so quickly and seamlessly that you rarely notice the extraordinary coordination required. Quantum entanglement between memory-storing neurons might provide the instantaneous communication necessary to weave these fragments into coherent recollections. This quantum perspective on memory also offers new insights into why certain memories feel more vivid and emotionally resonant than others. Perhaps the memories that were formed during moments of heightened awareness, deep emotion, or significant meaning are more likely to involve quantum-entangled neural networks. These quantum-enhanced memories might be more easily accessed and more resistant to forgetting because the entangled connections create multiple pathways for retrieval. The research extends beyond individual learning to explore how quantum effects might influence social cognition and interpersonal connection. Some studies suggest that when people are in deep rapport, whether in conversation, collaborative work, or shared experiences, their brain activity begins to synchronize in ways that mirror quantum entanglement patterns. This phenomenon, sometimes called neural synchrony or brain-to-brain coupling, might have quantum underpinnings. When you're truly connecting with another person, listening deeply to their words, or sharing an emotional moment, quantum entanglement between your respective neural networks might create a form of consciousness coupling that transcends the boundaries of individual minds. As you reflect on your own experiences of deep connection with others, you might recognize moments when communication seemed to flow effortlessly, when you understood each other without words, or when insights emerged from the interaction that neither person could have generated alone. These experiences might represent glimpses of quantum consciousness coupling, where entangled neural processes create temporary bridges between separate minds. The therapeutic implications of this research are beginning to capture the attention of mental health professionals. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then interventions that influence quantum coherence might offer new approaches to treating depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions. Some researchers are exploring whether meditation, mindfulness practices, and other consciousness-altering techniques might work partly by optimizing the quantum processes underlying neural function. Meditation in particular seems to create brain states that might be conducive to quantum coherence. The deep relaxation, focused attention, and reduced mental chatter characteristic of meditative states might provide the optimal conditions for maintaining delicate quantum processes in the brain. As practitioners report enhanced clarity, insight, and sense of interconnectedness during meditation, they might be experiencing the subjective effects of increased quantum coherence in their neural networks. This isn't to suggest that meditation directly manipulates quantum states, this remains unproven, but rather that the mental conditions cultivated through contemplative practice might be naturally aligned with the requirements for maintaining quantum processes in biological systems. The ancient wisdom traditions that developed these practices may have intuitively discovered techniques that optimize the quantum aspects of consciousness, even without understanding the underlying physics. The relationship between quantum consciousness and creativity presents another fascinating avenue of exploration. Artists, musicians, writers, and inventors often describe their most inspired moments as arising from somewhere beyond their conscious control. Ideas seem to emerge fully formed, connections appear between previously unrelated concepts, and solutions to complex problems arrive with sudden clarity. These creative insights might involve quantum processes that allow the brain to explore vast possibility spaces simultaneously. Instead of methodically working through logical sequences, quantum-enabled creativity might involve a form of parallel processing, where multiple potential solutions exist in superposition until the moment of insight collapses them into a single creative breakthrough. Consider your own creative experiences. Perhaps you've had moments when a solution to a problem appeared seemingly out of nowhere, when artistic inspiration flowed effortlessly, or when you made unexpected connections between disparate ideas. These experiences might represent your consciousness accessing quantum processes that transcend the linear, sequential nature of ordinary thinking. The quantum perspective also offers new ways to understand the relationship between consciousness and time. In ordinary experience, consciousness seems to flow through time in a linear sequence, with memories of the past, awareness of the present, and anticipations of the future. But quantum mechanics suggests that time itself might be more fluid and interconnected than our everyday experience suggests. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then your awareness might have access to temporal relationships that transcend the linear flow of classical time. The intuitive hunches that seem to anticipate future events, the sudden memories that provide exactly the information needed in the present moment, or the sense of timeless presence experienced in deep meditation might reflect quantum temporal correlations within consciousness. This doesn't mean that consciousness can literally see the future, but rather that quantum processes might allow access to information patterns that exist outside the conventional sequence of past, present, and future. Your brain's quantum networks might be sensitive to correlations and probabilities that extend beyond the immediate moment, creating subtle influences on your thoughts, decisions, and intuitions. As we explore these possibilities, it's important to remember that we're venturing into territory where rigorous science meets profound mystery. The quantum consciousness hypothesis remains highly speculative, with many respected scientists maintaining skepticism about whether quantum effects can survive in the warm, noisy environment of the brain. The research we're discussing represents the very frontier of human knowledge, where today's bold hypotheses await tomorrow's experimental confirmation or refutation. Yet even if quantum entanglement in the brain remains unproven, the mere possibility invites us to reconsider our understanding of consciousness, learning, memory, and creativity. It suggests that your mind might be far more interconnected, both internally and with the broader quantum fabric of reality, than classical neuroscience has imagined. The practical implications of quantum consciousness research are beginning to emerge in various fields. Educators are exploring whether understanding quantum learning principles might lead to more effective teaching methods that work with the brain's natural quantum processes rather than against them. The emphasis shifts from forcing information into passive minds to creating conditions where quantum-enhanced learning can naturally unfold. In the realm of artificial intelligence, researchers are investigating whether quantum computing principles might help create AI systems that more closely mirror human consciousness and creativity. Traditional computers process information sequentially, but quantum computers can explore multiple possibilities simultaneously. Much like the quantum consciousness hypothesis suggests human brains might operate. If you enjoy drifting through these explorations without interruption, members get every episode 48 hours early, completely ad-free. You can join them whenever you feel ready. The intersection of quantum consciousness research with ancient wisdom traditions presents particularly intriguing parallels. Many contemplative traditions have long recognized the interconnected nature of consciousness and reality, describing experiences of unity, non-locality, and timeless awareness that seem to mirror quantum mechanical principles. The Buddhist concept of interdependence, the Hindu understanding of universal consciousness, and the mystical traditions of various cultures all describe reality as fundamentally interconnected in ways that classical physics couldn't explain, but quantum mechanics might illuminate. These traditions developed sophisticated practices for exploring consciousness that might have been unknowingly optimizing quantum processes in the brain. Modern practitioners of meditation and contemplative disciplines often report experiences that seem to transcend the boundaries of individual consciousness. Feelings of connection with others at a distance, insights that arise from beyond personal knowledge, and states of awareness that feel both deeply personal and universally connected. If consciousness involves quantum entanglement, these experiences might reflect genuine quantum correlations rather than mere subjective illusions. The research into quantum effects in biological systems continues to expand our understanding of how quantum processes might function in living organisms. Beyond the brain, scientists have discovered quantum effects in enzyme function, where quantum tunneling enables chemical reactions that would be impossible under classical physics alone. These enzymes achieve extraordinary efficiency by allowing particles to tunnel through energy barriers, demonstrating that biological systems have evolved sophisticated mechanisms to harness quantum effects. Similarly, the quantum compass that enables bird navigation operates in the warm, noisy environment of living tissue, proving that biological systems can maintain quantum coherence under conditions that were once thought impossible. These discoveries provide biological precedents for quantum processes in the brain, suggesting that evolution has repeatedly found ways to incorporate quantum effects into living systems when they provide survival advantages. The quantum nature of photosynthesis offers another compelling example. Plants achieve near-perfect energy transfer efficiency by using quantum coherence to simultaneously explore all possible energy pathways and select the most efficient route. This quantum optimization happens in milliseconds, enabling plants to harvest solar energy with an efficiency that surpasses the best human-designed solar panels. If evolution has harnessed quantum effects for navigation, chemical catalysis, and energy harvesting, the possibility that consciousness might also involve quantum processes becomes more plausible. The brain's requirements for rapid information processing, pattern recognition, and creative problem-solving might have provided evolutionary pressure to develop quantum-enhanced neural processing systems. The emerging field of quantum biology is revealing that life itself might be fundamentally quantum mechanical rather than merely classical. From the quantum tunneling that enables enzyme function to the quantum coherence that powers photosynthesis, biological systems appear to be quantum machines disguised as classical objects. This perspective suggests that quantum consciousness might not be an exotic exception, but a natural consequence of life's quantum nature. As you contemplate these ideas, consider how they might influence your understanding of your own mental processes. The thoughts arising in your awareness right now, the insights emerging from our exploration, the sense of curiosity or wonder you might be experiencing, all of these mental phenomena might have quantum underpinnings that connect your individual consciousness to the fundamental structure of reality. This quantum perspective doesn't diminish the mystery of consciousness, but rather deepens it. Instead of viewing awareness as merely the product of classical neural computation, we begin to see consciousness as a quantum phenomenon that bridges the microscopic world of atomic particles and the macroscopic realm of human experience. Your mind becomes a quantum interface between the strange world of subatomic reality and the familiar landscape of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. The implications extend to our understanding of human potential and the possibilities for consciousness development. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then practices and conditions that enhance quantum coherence might also enhance mental clarity, creative insight, learning capacity, and perhaps even the sense of connection with others and the natural world. This doesn't mean that quantum mechanics provides simple answers to the mysteries of consciousness, but rather that it opens new questions and possibilities that previous frameworks couldn't accommodate. The quantum realm operates according to principles that challenge our classical intuitions: superposition, entanglement, non-locality, and observer effects that seem to blur the boundary between subject and object. As we continue to explore these quantum dimensions of consciousness, we're not just investigating the mechanics of mental processes, but probing the deepest questions about the nature of reality itself. If consciousness participates in quantum processes, then the traditional separation between mind and matter, observer and observed, self and universe, might be less fundamental than we've assumed. The research continues to evolve, with new experimental techniques and theoretical frameworks emerging regularly. Scientists are developing increasingly sophisticated methods to investigate quantum effects in biological systems, while philosophers and consciousness researchers are exploring the implications of quantum mechanics for our understanding of mind and reality. What remains constant is the sense of wonder and possibility that quantum consciousness research evokes. Whether or not future experiments confirm the role of quantum entanglement in consciousness, the journey of exploration itself expands our appreciation for the extraordinary complexity and beauty of the human mind. We are consciousness investigating itself, awareness exploring its own nature, quantum systems contemplating their quantum origins. In our continuing exploration, we'll delve deeper into the practical applications of quantum consciousness research and examine how understanding these principles might influence education, creativity, healing, and personal development. We'll also investigate the fascinating connections between quantum mechanics and the nature of time, exploring whether quantum processes might explain some of the most mysterious aspects of temporal experience. But for now, simply rest in the extraordinary possibility that your consciousness might be a quantum phenomenon, that your thoughts might be quantum events, and that your awareness might be intimately connected to the fundamental fabric of reality through the mysterious threads of quantum entanglement. As you drift through these ideas, remember that you are not separate from the quantum universe you're contemplating. You are quantum consciousness, exploring itself through the elegant vessel of your curious, wondering mind. If you found yourself drawn into this quantum landscape of consciousness, you might enjoy exploring how these principles extend into even more mysterious dimensions of reality. Our previous exploration, Your 4D Self is Bending Reality from Higher Dimensions, reveals how consciousness might operate beyond the familiar 3 dimensions of space, opening doorways to understanding that complement tonight's quantum journey. The quantum consciousness hypothesis also opens profound questions about the nature of perception itself. As you experience the world around you right now, the colors you see, the sounds you hear, the sensations you feel, how much of this rich tapestry of experience is constructed by classical neural processes, and how much might emerge from quantum effects operating beneath the threshold of ordinary awareness? Consider the phenomenon of visual perception. Light strikes your retina, triggering cascades of electrical and chemical signals that travel through your optic nerve to various processing centers in your brain. Yet somehow, from these discrete neural events, you construct a seamless visual experience of the world. The binding of separate visual features, color, motion, depth, form, into unified objects happens so effortlessly that you rarely consider the extraordinary coordination this requires. Some researchers propose that quantum entanglement might play a crucial role in this perceptual binding. Neurons processing different visual features might become quantum correlated, allowing information about color, movement, and shape to be integrated instantaneously rather than through the slower process of sequential neural communication. This quantum integration might explain why your visual experience feels so unified and immediate, why you see complete objects rather than collections of separate features. The same principle might extend to all forms of sensory experience. The symphony of sensation that constitutes your present moment. The interweaving of sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell into a coherent, perceptual world might depend on quantum correlations that bind separate sensory processing streams into unified conscious experience. This quantum binding hypothesis remains speculative, with no scientific consensus, yet it offers an elegant explanation for one of consciousness's most persistent mysteries. As you sit here, perhaps becoming aware of the various sensations present in your experience, the feeling of air against your skin, the sounds in your environment, the visual details at the edge of your perception, notice how all of these separate inputs somehow coalesce into a single, integrated moment of awareness. If quantum entanglement contributes to this integration, then your present moment might be a quantum phenomenon, a temporary crystallization of correlated information emerging from the quantum substrate of consciousness. The research into quantum effects in biological systems has also revealed fascinating parallels between quantum mechanics and the way living systems process information. Quantum computers achieve their extraordinary power by maintaining superposition states, where quantum bits exist in multiple states simultaneously until measurement collapses them into definite values. Similarly, some researchers suggest that biological information processing might involve quantum superposition, states that allow organisms to explore multiple possibilities simultaneously before selecting optimal solutions. This quantum information processing might explain the remarkable efficiency of biological systems in solving complex optimization problems. When bacteria navigate chemical gradients to find food sources, when immune cells recognize and respond to specific pathogens, when neural networks learn new patterns, they often achieve solutions that seem to require exploring vast possibility spaces in impossibly short timeframes. If biological systems harness quantum superposition for information processing, then your own cognitive abilities might involve quantum computation occurring within your neural networks. The creative insights that seem to emerge from nowhere, the intuitive leaps that bypass logical reasoning, the pattern recognition abilities that surpass the most sophisticated computers. These cognitive capabilities might reflect quantum processes that allow your brain to explore multiple solution paths simultaneously. The implications extend to understanding consciousness itself as a form of quantum information processing. Instead of viewing awareness as the passive observation of mental content, consciousness might be an active quantum process that continuously collapses superposition states into definite experiences. Each moment of awareness might involve quantum measurements that select specific experiences from the vast superposition of possible conscious states. This perspective suggests that consciousness isn't just produced by the brain, but might be a fundamental aspect of how quantum information becomes classical reality through the process of measurement and observation. Your awareness might participate in the ongoing collapse of quantum possibilities into definite experiences, making consciousness an active participant in the creation of reality rather than a passive observer of predetermined events. Recent experimental investigations have begun exploring whether the brain might indeed function as a quantum information processing system. Researchers have used sophisticated MRI techniques to search for quantum entanglement signatures in living brain tissue adapting methods originally developed to study quantum gravity. These experiments look for correlations between proton spins in brain water that could indicate quantum entanglement between different brain regions. Early results from these studies suggest that quantum-like correlations might indeed exist in the brain, and that these correlations appear to be linked to consciousness-related brain activity. When participants in these experiments were conscious and alert, the quantum-like signals were strongest. During states of reduced consciousness, such as anesthesia or sleep, these signals diminished significantly. While these findings remain preliminary and require further validation, they represent some of the first direct experimental evidence that quantum effects might play a role in consciousness. The correlation between quantum-like brain signals and conscious awareness suggests that these phenomena might be more than mere coincidence, though much more research is needed to establish causal relationships. The study of quantum effects in enzyme function provides another biological precedent for quantum processes in living systems. Enzymes, the molecular machines that catalyze virtually all biochemical reactions in your body, appear to use quantum tunneling to achieve reaction rates that would be impossible under classical physics alone. Quantum tunneling allows particles to pass through energy barriers that would normally be insurmountable, enabling enzymes to facilitate chemical reactions with extraordinary efficiency. This quantum enhancement of enzyme function demonstrates that biological systems have evolved sophisticated mechanisms to harness quantum effects for essential life processes. If evolution has incorporated quantum tunneling into the basic machinery of cellular metabolism, the possibility that neural processes might also involve quantum effects becomes more plausible. The quantum tunneling that enables enzyme function requires precise coordination between protein dynamics and quantum mechanical effects. The protein structures must create exactly the right conditions for quantum tunneling to occur, maintaining optimal distances and energy configurations that facilitate the quantum process. This suggests that biological systems can actively control and optimize quantum effects rather than merely tolerating them. Similarly, if consciousness involves quantum processes, the brain might have evolved sophisticated mechanisms to create and maintain the precise conditions necessary for quantum coherence and entanglement. The complex architecture of neurons, the intricate patterns of electrical activity, and the carefully regulated chemical environment of the brain might all serve to optimize quantum processes that contribute to consciousness. Take a moment to appreciate the extraordinary precision required for your brain to function. Billions of neurons must coordinate their activity with millisecond timing. Neurotransmitter concentrations must be regulated within narrow ranges, and the electrical properties of cell membranes must be maintained within critical parameters. This biological precision might serve not only classical neural function, but also the delicate requirements of quantum processes. The research into bird navigation through quantum entanglement provides perhaps the most compelling example of quantum effects functioning in warm, noisy biological environments. The radical pair mechanism that enables birds to sense magnetic fields involves quantum entanglement between electron pairs in cryptochrome proteins within their eyes. These quantum effects must remain coherent long enough for birds to process magnetic field information and navigate accurately across thousands of miles. The fact that quantum entanglement can function in the biological environment of a bird's eye, with its constant molecular motion, thermal fluctuations, and biochemical activity, demonstrates that biological systems can indeed maintain quantum coherence under conditions that were once thought impossible. This provides a crucial precedent for the possibility of quantum effects in the brain, which operates in a similarly warm and noisy biological environment. The mechanism by which birds maintain quantum coherence in their navigation system involves sophisticated molecular engineering. The cryptochrome proteins that house the quantum-entangled electron pairs are precisely structured to protect the quantum states from environmental decoherence, while still allowing them to interact with magnetic fields. This represents a remarkable example of evolution optimizing quantum processes for biological function. If similar quantum protection mechanisms exist in the brain, they might enable quantum entanglement between neurons while shielding these delicate quantum states from the constant molecular activity that characterizes living tissue. The myelin sheaths that insulate nerve fibers might serve not only to speed electrical conduction, but also to create quantum coherent cavities that protect entangled states from environmental interference. The investigation of quantum effects in photosynthesis has revealed another crucial principle. Biological systems can maintain quantum coherence not by isolating quantum processes from their environment, but by actively using environmental fluctuations to enhance quantum efficiency. In photosynthetic light harvesting complexes, protein vibrations that might seem to threaten quantum coherence actually help maintain it by creating favorable conditions for quantum energy transfer. This principle of environmentally assisted quantum coherence might also apply to the brain. Rather than requiring complete isolation from biological noise, quantum processes in neural tissue might be enhanced by the specific patterns of molecular motion, electrical activity, and chemical fluctuations that characterize healthy brain function. The rhythmic patterns of neural oscillations, the precisely timed release of neurotransmitters, and the coordinated electrical activity across brain regions might all contribute to maintaining quantum coherence rather than disrupting it. As you contemplate these possibilities, consider how this might change your understanding of the relationship between your conscious experience and the physical processes occurring in your brain. Instead of consciousness being merely the product of classical neural computation, awareness might emerge from a delicate dance between classical and quantum processes, with quantum entanglement providing the invisible threads that weave separate neural events into the unified fabric of conscious experience. The practical implications of quantum consciousness research continue to expand into various domains of human activity and understanding. In the field of education, researchers are exploring whether learning environments that optimize conditions for quantum coherence might enhance student performance and retention. This doesn't mean directly manipulating quantum states, but rather creating conditions, reduced stress, increased curiosity, optimal arousal levels that might naturally support whatever quantum processes contribute to learning and memory. The emphasis shifts from viewing students as passive recipients of information to understanding learning as a dynamic process that might involve quantum-enhanced information processing. Teaching methods that encourage superposition-like exploration of multiple possibilities simultaneously, that allow ideas to remain in uncertain states before crystallizing into understanding, and that create conditions for sudden insight and creative connection might be more aligned with the quantum nature of learning. Similarly, in therapeutic contexts, practitioners are beginning to explore whether interventions that influence coherence and synchronization in brain activity might have quantum underpinnings. Meditation, biofeedback, rhythmic breathing, and other practices that enhance neural synchrony might work partly by optimizing quantum processes in the brain, though this remains a speculative hypothesis rather than established fact. The field of creativity research has also begun to incorporate quantum perspectives on how innovative ideas emerge. The sudden appearance of creative insights, the ability to connect previously unrelated concepts, and the sense that creative solutions arise from beyond conscious control all suggest processes that might involve quantum superposition and entanglement effects. Creative individuals often describe accessing states of consciousness where ordinary logical constraints seem suspended, where multiple possibilities can be entertained simultaneously, and where novel combinations emerge through processes that feel more like discovery than invention. These descriptions align remarkably well with how quantum systems behave, suggesting that creativity might involve quantum-enhanced information processing that transcends the limitations of classical neural computation. If you enjoy drifting through these explorations without interruption, members get every episode 48 hours early, completely ad-free. You can join them whenever you feel ready. The investigation of quantum consciousness also intersects with fundamental questions about the nature of time and temporal experience. Your consciousness seems to flow through time in a continuous stream, with memories of the past, awareness of the present, and anticipations of the future seamlessly integrated into a coherent temporal experience. Yet quantum mechanics suggests that time might be more flexible and interconnected than our everyday experience suggests. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then your awareness might have access to temporal correlations that transcend the linear flow of classical time. The anticipatory responses that sometimes precede conscious awareness, the intuitive hunches that seem to anticipate future events, and the sudden memories that provide exactly the information needed in present circumstances might reflect quantum temporal effects operating within consciousness. This doesn't imply that consciousness can literally perceive the future, but rather that quantum processes might be sensitive to probability patterns and information structures that extend beyond the immediate moment. Your brain's quantum networks might detect subtle correlations in the information environment that create weak influences on present thoughts and decisions, generating the subjective experience of intuition and anticipation. The relationship between quantum mechanics and the subjective experience of time presents fascinating parallels with reports from meditation practitioners and consciousness researchers. Advanced meditators often describe states of awareness where the ordinary flow of time seems suspended, where past, present, and future lose their sharp distinctions, and where consciousness seems to access a timeless dimension of experience. These contemplative reports might reflect states where quantum processes in the brain create temporal correlations that transcend ordinary sequential time. The sense of timeless presence reported in deep meditative states might emerge when quantum entanglement creates correlations between neural processes that normally occur in temporal sequence, binding past, present, and future mental content into unified awareness. The study of near-death experiences and other altered states of consciousness has also revealed temporal anomalies that might have quantum underpinnings. Individuals often report experiencing elaborate sequences of events, life reviews, encounters with deceased relatives, profound insights, during periods when brain activity is severely compromised or absent. These reports challenge conventional understanding of the relationship between consciousness and brain function. While these experiences remain controversial and difficult to study scientifically, some researchers have suggested that quantum processes might enable forms of consciousness that transcend the normal limitations of classical neural activity. If consciousness involves quantum entanglement with broader information fields, then awareness might persist or even be enhanced under conditions where classical brain function is impaired. The exploration of quantum consciousness also opens new perspectives on the relationship between individual and collective awareness. If consciousness involves quantum entanglement, then the boundaries between separate minds might be more permeable than classical neuroscience suggests. The phenomena of emotional contagion, group synchrony, and collective intelligence might have quantum underpinnings that enable genuine information sharing between individual consciousness systems. Research into group meditation and collective consciousness effects has revealed intriguing correlations between the mental states of groups and various environmental measures. Studies have found statistical correlations between large-scale meditation events and reductions in violent crime, accident rates, and other social indicators, though these findings remain controversial and are not accepted by mainstream science. If these correlations reflect genuine effects rather than statistical artifacts, quantum entanglement between individual consciousness systems might provide a mechanism for collective influence. Groups of individuals in coherent mental states might create quantum correlations that extend beyond the boundaries of individual brains, potentially influencing broader environmental and social systems through quantum field effects. The investigation of quantum effects in biological systems continues to reveal new mechanisms by which living organisms might harness quantum mechanical properties. Research into quantum effects in smell and taste perception suggests that these senses might involve quantum tunneling processes that enable molecular recognition with extraordinary sensitivity and specificity. The quantum theory of olfaction proposes that smell receptors don't just recognize molecular shapes, but also detect the quantum vibrational signatures of odor molecules. This quantum sensing mechanism might explain how the nose can distinguish between molecules with identical shapes but different vibrational frequencies, a discrimination ability that exceeds what classical lock and key models of molecular recognition can explain. If quantum effects contribute to sensory perception, then your experience of the world might be more quantum mechanical than you realize. The subtle distinctions in smell and taste that create the rich sensory texture of experience might depend on quantum processes that detect molecular vibrations and quantum signatures that are invisible to classical analysis. The study of quantum effects in enzyme function has also revealed sophisticated mechanisms for quantum error correction in biological systems. Enzymes maintain quantum coherence not through perfect isolation, but through dynamic processes that continuously correct for quantum decoherence while preserving the quantum advantages that enhance catalytic efficiency. These biological quantum error correction mechanisms might provide models for understanding how the brain maintains quantum coherence despite the constant molecular activity and thermal fluctuations that characterize living tissue. If consciousness involves quantum processes, the brain might have evolved sophisticated error correction systems that preserve quantum entanglement while allowing classical neural function to proceed normally. The implications extend to understanding aging and neurodegenerative diseases. If consciousness depends on quantum processes, then the decline in cognitive function that accompanies aging or neurological disorders might partly reflect the deterioration of quantum coherence in brain tissue. The accumulation of molecular damage, the disruption of cellular architecture, and the dysregulation of neural activity that characterize brain pathology might interfere with the delicate quantum processes that contribute to consciousness. This perspective suggests that interventions that preserve or restore quantum coherence in brain tissue might have therapeutic benefits for cognitive health and neurological function. While this remains highly speculative, the idea that consciousness involves quantum processes opens new avenues for understanding and potentially treating disorders of awareness and cognitive function. The research into quantum consciousness also intersects with fundamental questions about the nature of reality and the role of observation in quantum mechanics. The measurement problem in quantum mechanics, the question of how quantum superposition states collapse into definite classical outcomes, remains one of the deepest puzzles in physics. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then awareness might play an active role in the collapse of quantum superposition states rather than merely observing predetermined classical events. This doesn't mean that consciousness creates reality through observation, but rather that conscious awareness might participate in the ongoing process by which quantum possibilities become classical actualities. The participatory universe interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that consciousness and physical reality co-create each other through the process of quantum measurement and observation. In this view, the universe isn't a fixed stage on which consciousness plays out its drama, but rather a dynamic system in which consciousness and physical reality engage in continuous mutual creation. This perspective radically transforms our understanding of the relationship between mind and matter, subject and object, observer and observed. Instead of consciousness being merely the product of material processes, awareness becomes an active participant in the ongoing creation of reality through quantum mechanical processes that bridge the gap between possibility and actuality. As you reflect on these ideas, consider how they might influence your understanding of your own role in the universe. If consciousness participates in quantum processes, then your awareness might be more than a passive witness to reality. Your thoughts, observations, and conscious choices might participate in the ongoing quantum evolution of the universe, making you an active co-creator rather than a detached observer. The quantum consciousness hypothesis also offers new perspectives on the relationship between scientific materialism and spiritual traditions. Many wisdom traditions have long recognized consciousness as fundamental rather than emergent, viewing awareness as the ground of being from which material reality arises rather than vice versa. If consciousness involves quantum processes that participates in the collapse of quantum possibilities into classical reality, then these ancient insights might find unexpected support from modern physics. The primacy of consciousness, suggested by various contemplative traditions, might reflect genuine features of quantum reality rather than mere philosophical speculation or wishful thinking. This convergence of ancient wisdom and quantum physics doesn't prove the validity of any particular spiritual tradition, but it does suggest that consciousness might be more fundamental to the nature of reality than classical materialism has assumed. The hard problem of consciousness, the question of how subjective experience arises from objective physical processes, might find resolution through understanding consciousness as a quantum phenomenon that bridges the gap between mind and matter. The investigation continues to unfold, with new experimental techniques and theoretical frameworks emerging regularly. Scientists are developing increasingly sophisticated methods to investigate quantum effects in biological systems, while consciousness researchers are exploring the implications of quantum mechanics for understanding the nature of awareness and subjective experience. What remains constant is the sense of profound mystery and possibility that quantum consciousness research evokes. Whether or not future experiments confirm the role of quantum entanglement in consciousness, the exploration itself expands our appreciation for the extraordinary complexity and beauty of awareness. We are consciousness investigating its own quantum nature, awareness exploring the possibility that it might be woven from the same mysterious fabric that connects particles across the universe. As we approach the culmination of our exploration, remember that you are not separate from the quantum mysteries we've been contemplating. Your consciousness, as it engages with these ideas, might itself be a quantum phenomenon, a temporary crystallization of information and possibility that emerges from the deeper quantum substrate of reality. The thoughts arising in your awareness, the insights emerging from our journey together, the sense of wonder or curiosity you might be experiencing, all of these mental phenomena might have quantum underpinnings that connect your individual consciousness to the fundamental structure of existence itself. The quantum realm reminds us that reality is far more mysterious and interconnected than our everyday experience suggests. At the deepest levels of existence, particles dance in quantum entanglement. Information travels instantaneously across impossible distances, and consciousness might participate in the ongoing creation of reality through quantum measurement processes. If these quantum mysteries extend into the realm of awareness, then your mind might be not just a product of classical biology, but a quantum phenomenon that bridges the microscopic world of atoms and the macroscopic realm of human experience. In our final segment, we'll explore the practical implications of quantum consciousness research for understanding human potential and the possibilities for consciousness development. We'll investigate how these quantum perspectives might influence approaches to learning, creativity, healing, and spiritual growth, while examining the fascinating parallels between quantum mechanics and the contemplative traditions that have long recognized the interconnected nature of consciousness and reality. But for now, simply rest in the extraordinary possibility that your awareness might be quantum entangled with the fundamental fabric of existence. As you drift through these ideas, remember that every moment of consciousness might be a quantum event, every thought a quantum measurement, every instant of awareness a participation in the ongoing quantum evolution of the universe. Through the elegant dance of possibility and actuality that we call reality. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then the implications for human potential become truly staggering. As you drift deeper into contemplation, consider this. What if the practices that humans have developed over millennia to enhance awareness, learning, and insight are actually methods for optimizing quantum coherence in the brain? This isn't to suggest that ancient contemplatives understood quantum mechanics, but rather that they may have intuitively discovered techniques that create optimal conditions for whatever quantum processes might contribute to consciousness. The art of attention itself takes on new meaning when viewed through this quantum lens. When you focus your awareness with gentle precision, whether during meditation, creative work, or moments of deep learning, you might be creating the mental conditions that allow quantum coherence to flourish. The scattered, agitated mind that jumps from thought to thought may be incompatible with the delicate requirements of quantum processes, while the calm, focused awareness, cultivated through contemplative practice, might provide the stable foundation necessary for quantum effects to emerge. Recent studies have begun to explore how different states of consciousness might correlate with quantum-like signatures in brain activity. Researchers have found that during states of deep meditation, creative flow, and lucid dreaming, the brain exhibits patterns of synchronization and coherence that differ markedly from ordinary waking consciousness. While these findings don't prove quantum involvement, they suggest that certain mental states might be more conducive to whatever quantum processes might occur in neural tissue. As you allow your awareness to settle into this moment, notice the quality of attention itself. The gentle focus that allows you to absorb these ideas without strain. The open curiosity that remains receptive to new possibilities. The relaxed alertness that can hold complex concepts without forcing understanding. These qualities of consciousness might reflect optimal conditions for quantum-enhanced mental processing. This remains speculative, but the possibility invites us to appreciate the subtle art of conscious attention in new ways. The relationship between breathing and consciousness offers another fascinating avenue for exploring quantum possibilities. Contemplative traditions across cultures have recognized breathing as a bridge between voluntary and involuntary processes, between conscious control and automatic function. The rhythmic patterns of breath naturally synchronize with brainwaves, heart rhythms, and other biological oscillations that might influence quantum coherence in neural tissue. When you breathe slowly and deeply, as many meditation practices encourage, you're not just calming your nervous system, you might be creating rhythmic patterns of oxygenation and electrical activity that optimize the conditions for quantum processes in the brain. The ancient practice of pranayama, or breath control, may have unknowingly developed techniques that enhance quantum coherence through precise regulation of breathing patterns and their effects on neural oscillations. The phenomenon of synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that seem to connect inner psychological states with outer events, has long fascinated psychologists and philosophers. Carl Jung described synchronicity as evidence of a causal connecting principle that operates beyond the normal chains of cause and effect. While mainstream science remains skeptical of synchronicity as anything more than selective attention and confirmation bias, some interpretations suggest that quantum entanglement might provide a physical mechanism for non-local correlations between consciousness and environmental events. This remains highly speculative and unproven, but the possibility is intriguing. If consciousness involves quantum processes that can become entangled with quantum systems in the environment, then the boundaries between inner and outer experience might be more permeable than classical physics suggests. The sense that your mental state sometimes seems to attract corresponding circumstances, that insights arise just when you need them, or that thinking of someone often precedes their unexpected contact. These experiences might reflect quantum correlations operating below the threshold of ordinary awareness. The study of artistic and creative inspiration reveals patterns that align remarkably well with quantum mechanical principles. Artists throughout history have described the creative process as involving states where multiple possibilities exist simultaneously until the moment of artistic decision crystallizes one possibility into form. Musicians speak of hearing all possible melodies at once before selecting the notes that feel right. Writers describe characters who seem to exist in superposition, possessing multiple potential storylines until the act of writing collapses them into specific narratives. These descriptions mirror the quantum mechanical concept of superposition, where systems exist in multiple states simultaneously until measurement or interaction forces them to adopt definite values. While this doesn't prove that creativity involves literal quantum processes, it suggests that the phenomenology of creative experience might reflect quantum-like information processing in the brain. The artist's consciousness might naturally access states where multiple possibilities can be entertained simultaneously, allowing for the exploration of vast creative possibility spaces that exceed what sequential, classical thinking could achieve. Consider your own experiences of creative insight or problem-solving breakthroughs. Perhaps you've noticed that the best solutions often arise not through forced logical analysis, but through a kind of relaxed attention that allows multiple possibilities to coexist until suddenly the right answer emerges with crystalline clarity. This process of creative emergence might reflect quantum-like processes where your brain explores multiple solution paths in superposition until the optimal configuration collapses into conscious awareness. The relationship between quantum consciousness and memory presents another fascinating dimension of exploration. Your memories aren't stored like files in a computer, but exist as distributed patterns across multiple brain regions. When you recall a memory, your brain must somehow coordinate the simultaneous activation of visual, auditory, emotional, and contextual information stored in different neural networks. This process happens so quickly and seamlessly that you rarely notice the extraordinary coordination required. If quantum entanglement connects memory-storing neurons across different brain regions, it might explain how complex memories can be retrieved with such remarkable speed and completeness. The quantum correlations between distant neural networks might enable the instantaneous activation of all memory components, creating the unified recollection that emerges in consciousness. This could also explain why certain memories seem more vivid and emotionally resonant than others. Perhaps those formed during moments when quantum coherence was particularly strong become more deeply entangled and therefore more easily accessed. The phenomenon of false memories and memory reconstruction also gains new perspective through the quantum lens. If memories exist in quantum superposition, states that contain multiple possible versions of past events, then the act of remembering might involve a form of quantum measurement that collapses these superposed possibilities into specific recollections. This could explain why memories can change over time, why they're influenced by current context and emotional state, and why the act of remembering itself can alter what is remembered. Take a moment to reflect on a significant memory from your own life. Notice how the memory seems to contain not just factual information, but emotional tones, sensory details, and contextual associations that create a rich, multi-dimensional experience. If this memory involves quantum processes, then the act of remembering might be recreating quantum correlations between the neural networks that originally encoded the experience, bringing the past into present awareness through quantum temporal connections. The exploration of quantum consciousness also opens new perspectives on the nature of learning and knowledge acquisition. Traditional educational approaches often treat learning as the sequential accumulation of information, building knowledge piece by piece through logical progression. But quantum-enhanced learning might operate more like quantum computation, exploring multiple learning pathways simultaneously and arriving at understanding through sudden insight rather than gradual accumulation. This quantum perspective on learning might explain why certain educational approaches work better than others, teaching methods that encourage exploration of multiple possibilities simultaneously. that allow uncertainty and ambiguity to exist before crystallizing into understanding, and that create conditions for sudden insight and creative connection might be more aligned with the brain's natural quantum information processing capabilities. The importance of curiosity in learning also gains new meaning through the quantum lens. Curiosity creates a state of open attention that might be particularly conducive to quantum superposition states in the brain. When you're genuinely curious about something, your mind naturally entertains multiple possibilities simultaneously, maintaining uncertainty until new information or insight collapses the superposition into understanding. This open, questioning state of consciousness might optimize the conditions for quantum-enhanced learning and discovery. As you engage with these ideas right now, notice the quality of curiosity or openness that allows you to consider possibilities that challenge conventional understanding. This receptive state of consciousness might reflect optimal conditions for whatever quantum processes contribute to learning and insight. The gentle balance between focused attention and open receptivity that characterizes deep learning might be precisely the mental condition that allows quantum effects to enhance cognitive processing. The relationship between quantum consciousness and emotional experience presents another rich area for exploration. Emotions aren't just subjective feelings, but involve complex patterns of neural activity, hormonal changes, and physiological responses that coordinate across multiple body systems. The speed and completeness of emotional responses suggest information processing capabilities that might exceed what classical neural networks can achieve alone. Consider the phenomenon of emotional contagion, where emotions seem to spread rapidly through groups of people without obvious communication channels. While classical explanations focus on subtle behavioral cues and unconscious mimicry, some interpretations suggest that quantum entanglement between the neural networks processing emotional information might enable more direct emotional transmission between individuals. This remains highly speculative and unproven, but the possibility offers new ways to understand empathy, compassion, and social connection. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then the boundaries between separate emotional systems might be more permeable than we assume. The capacity for deep empathy, the ability to sense others' emotional states with remarkable accuracy, and the phenomenon of emotional resonance in close relationships might reflect quantum correlations that transcend the classical boundaries of individual nervous systems. The study of healing and therapeutic relationships also gains new dimensions through the quantum consciousness lens. Practitioners in various healing traditions have long recognized that the quality of consciousness and intention they bring to their work can significantly influence therapeutic outcomes. While placebo effects and other classical mechanisms explain some of these influences, some interpretations suggest that quantum correlations between the consciousness of healer and patient might contribute to therapeutic effectiveness. Again, this remains unproven and controversial, but the possibility invites us to consider healing as a quantum phenomenon involving the interaction of consciousness systems rather than merely the application of techniques to passive recipients. The therapeutic relationship might create quantum correlations that enhance the natural healing processes inherent in living systems, though this is purely speculative and not supported by mainstream medical science. The exploration of consciousness in extreme states also provides insights into possible quantum dimensions of awareness. Studies of near-death experiences, mystical states, and other altered states of consciousness have revealed phenomena that challenge conventional understanding of the relationship between brain activity and conscious experience. Individuals often report enhanced clarity, expanded awareness, and access to information that seems beyond their normal cognitive capabilities during these states. While these experiences remain controversial and difficult to study scientifically, some researchers have suggested that extreme states might involve altered quantum processes in the brain. The disruption of normal neural activity might paradoxically enhance quantum coherence by reducing the classical noise that typically masks quantum effects. This could explain reports of heightened awareness and expanded consciousness during states when classical brain function is compromised. The phenomenon of collective consciousness and group synchrony also gains new perspective through quantum considerations. Groups engaged in coordinated activities, whether in music, dance, meditation, or sport, often report states of consciousness that seem to transcend individual boundaries. Participants describe feeling connected to something larger than themselves, experiencing enhanced performance capabilities, and accessing insights that emerge from the group rather than from individual minds. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then groups of individuals in coherent mental states might create quantum correlations that extend beyond individual brain boundaries. The synchronization of brain waves, breathing patterns, and physiological rhythms that occurs in coherent groups might create conditions for quantum entanglement between individual consciousness systems, enabling genuine information sharing and collective processing capabilities. This interpretation remains speculative, but it offers new ways to understand phenomena like team cohesion, group creativity, and collective decision-making. The wisdom that seems to emerge from well-functioning groups might reflect quantum-enhanced information processing that transcends what individual members could achieve separately. The relationship between consciousness and information itself takes on new meaning through the quantum lens. Information theory and quantum mechanics have revealed deep connections between information, computation, and physical reality. Some physicists now view information as more fundamental than matter and energy, suggesting that the universe might be essentially computational in nature. If consciousness involves quantum information processing, then awareness might represent the interface between information and experience, the process by which abstract quantum information becomes objective reality. Your thoughts, perceptions, and feelings might be quantum information patterns that achieve temporary stability in the neural networks of your brain, creating the experience of conscious awareness through quantum measurement processes. This perspective suggests that consciousness isn't produced by the brain, but rather emerges through the interaction of quantum information patterns with the neural hardware that gives them temporary form. Your awareness might be more like a wave that arises from the quantum ocean of information, achieves temporary coherence in your brain, and eventually dissolves back into the broader information field from which it emerged. The implications extend to questions about the continuity of consciousness and personal identity. If consciousness involves quantum information patterns that transcend the classical boundaries of individual brains, then the sense of being a separate, isolated self might be more illusion than reality. The quantum correlations that connect your consciousness to the broader fabric of existence might mean that your awareness is already interconnected with all other conscious systems in ways that transcend ordinary perception. This doesn't diminish the reality of your individual experience, but places it within a larger context of quantum interconnection. Your unique perspective and personal history remain valid while also being part of a more comprehensive tapestry of consciousness that extends throughout the quantum universe. The ancient wisdom teaching that individual consciousness and universal consciousness are ultimately, one might find, unexpected support from quantum physics, though this remains a philosophical interpretation rather than established scientific fact. The practical applications of quantum consciousness research continue to expand into various domains of human activity. In therapeutic contexts, practitioners are exploring whether interventions that enhance coherence and synchronization in brain activity might optimize quantum processes that contribute to healing and well-being. Techniques like meditation, biofeedback, rhythmic movement, and sound therapy might work partly by creating optimal conditions for quantum coherence in neural networks. Educational approaches are also beginning to incorporate insights from quantum consciousness research, teaching methods that encourage simultaneous exploration of multiple possibilities, that allow ambiguity and uncertainty to exist before crystallizing into understanding, and that create conditions for sudden insight rather than forced comprehension might be more aligned with quantum-enhanced learning processes. The field of creativity and innovation is exploring how understanding quantum principles might enhance creative practice. Techniques that cultivate superposition-like states of consciousness, where multiple creative possibilities can coexist without premature closure, might enable access to more innovative and original solutions. The ability to maintain uncertainty and explore possibility spaces without immediately collapsing them into specific forms might be key to quantum-enhanced creativity. As you contemplate these possibilities, consider how they might influence your approach to your own creative and learning processes. The gentle art of maintaining openness while working with ideas, allowing multiple possibilities to coexist without forcing premature resolution, creating conditions for insight to emerge rather than trying to manufacture understanding through effort alone. These approaches might naturally align with whatever quantum processes contribute to consciousness and creativity. The investigation of time perception and temporal experience through the quantum lens reveals fascinating connections between consciousness and the nature of time itself. Your subjective experience of time varies dramatically depending on your state of consciousness. Moments of deep absorption seem timeless, while anxiety can make minutes feel like hours. Flow states, creative inspiration, and meditative awareness all seem to alter the normal flow of temporal experience in ways that suggest consciousness might have a more flexible relationship with time than classical physics would predict. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then your awareness might have access to temporal correlations that transcend the linear progression of classical time. The quantum mechanical concept of non-locality suggests that quantum correlations can exist across spatial separation, and some interpretations extend this to temporal non-locality, where quantum correlations might connect events across time as well as space. This could explain the anticipatory responses that sometimes occur before conscious recognition, the intuitive hunches that seem to anticipate future developments, and the sudden emergence of relevant memories or insights exactly when they're needed. Your consciousness might be sensitive to quantum temporal correlations that provide weak influences on present experience based on probability patterns that extend into future possibilities. The phenomenon of déjà vu, the strange sense of having experienced a present moment before, might also reflect quantum temporal effects. If consciousness involves quantum processes that can access probability patterns across time, then the feeling of familiarity might arise from quantum correlations with similar probability configurations that existed in the past or might exist in the future. These interpretations remain highly speculative and unproven, but they offer intriguing possibilities for understanding the temporal dimensions of consciousness. The sense that awareness sometimes transcends the linear flow of clock time, that insights arrive from beyond the immediate moment, and that consciousness can access information patterns that seem to extend across temporal boundaries, might reflect genuine quantum temporal effects, rather than mere subjective illusions. The exploration of quantum consciousness also intersects with fundamental questions about the nature of reality and the role of observation in determining physical outcomes. The measurement problem in quantum mechanics remains one of the deepest puzzles in physics. How and why do quantum superposition states collapse into definite classical outcomes? Various interpretations offer different answers, but none has achieved universal acceptance. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then awareness might play an active role in the collapse of quantum superposition states, rather than merely observing predetermined classical events. This doesn't mean that consciousness creates reality through wishful thinking, but rather that conscious observation might participate in the ongoing process by which quantum possibilities become classical actualities through natural physical mechanisms. The participatory universe interpretation suggests that consciousness and physical reality engage in continuous mutual creation through quantum measurement processes. In this view, the universe isn't a fixed stage on which consciousness plays out its predetermined role, but rather a dynamic system in which awareness and physical reality co-evolve through their quantum mechanical interactions. This perspective radically transforms our understanding of the relationship between mind and matter, subject and object, observer and observed. Instead of consciousness being merely the accidental product of material processes, awareness becomes a fundamental aspect of how quantum possibilities become classical realities through the natural operation of quantum mechanics. As you reflect on these ideas, consider how they might influence your understanding of your own place in the cosmic order. If consciousness participates in quantum processes that help determine the structure of reality, then your awareness might be more than a passive witness to existence. Your thoughts, observations, and conscious choices might participate in the ongoing quantum evolution of the universe, making you an active participant rather than a detached observer. The convergence of quantum physics and contemplative wisdom traditions presents particularly fascinating parallels. Many ancient traditions have recognized consciousness as fundamental rather than emergent, viewing awareness as the ground of being from which material reality arises. The Vedantic concept of consciousness as the fundamental substrate of existence, the Buddhist understanding of emptiness and interdependence, and various mystical traditions that describe reality as essentially mental or consciousness-based, all find unexpected resonances with quantum mechanical insights. While these parallels don't prove the validity of any particular spiritual tradition, they suggest that consciousness might be more fundamental to the nature of reality than classical materialism has assumed. The hard problem of consciousness, the question of how subjective experience arises from objective physical processes, might find resolution through understanding consciousness as a quantum phenomenon that bridges the apparent gap between mind and matter. The practices developed by contemplative traditions over millennia might represent sophisticated technologies for exploring and optimizing quantum consciousness processes. meditation techniques that cultivate states of coherent awareness, breathing practices that synchronize physiological rhythms, contemplative methods that develop subtle attention and perceptual sensitivity. All of these approaches might unknowingly create optimal conditions for quantum coherence in neural networks. This doesn't mean that ancient contemplatives understood quantum mechanics, but rather that they may have discovered through direct experience the mental conditions that naturally enhance whatever quantum processes contribute to consciousness. The states of awareness described in contemplative literature, characterized by enhanced clarity, expanded perception, and profound interconnection, might reflect the subjective experience of optimized quantum coherence in brain tissue. The investigation of lucid dreaming also provides insights into possible quantum dimensions of consciousness. In lucid dreams, awareness becomes conscious of its own dreaming state while maintaining the dream experience. This creates a unique form of consciousness where the dreaming mind can observe and sometimes direct its own dream content while remaining within the dream state. Some researchers have suggested that lucid dreaming might involve altered quantum processes that enable consciousness to maintain coherence across different levels of brain activity. The ability to become aware within the dream state might reflect quantum correlations that connect the dreaming brain regions with areas associated with self-awareness and metacognition, creating a hybrid state that combines elements of sleeping and waking consciousness. The phenomenon of shared or mutual dreaming, where multiple individuals report similar dream content or interactions within dreams, remains controversial, but might reflect quantum correlations that extend beyond individual dream states. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then the boundaries between separate dreaming minds might be more permeable than classical neuroscience suggests. The study of plant consciousness and the possibility of awareness in non-neural biological systems also gains new perspective through quantum considerations. Recent research has revealed sophisticated information processing capabilities in plants, including memory formation, learning-like behaviors, and complex communication networks that coordinate plant community responses to environmental challenges. While plants lack nervous systems, they possess intricate networks of cellular communication that might support quantum information processing. The quantum effects already discovered in plant photosynthesis suggest that plant cells are capable of maintaining quantum coherence for biological functions. Some speculative interpretations suggest that these quantum processes might support forms of plant awareness that differ from animal consciousness, but represent genuine information, integration, and response capabilities. If consciousness is fundamentally a quantum phenomenon rather than specifically a neural one, then awareness might emerge wherever sufficient quantum information processing occurs, regardless of the specific biological substrate. This could expand our understanding of consciousness beyond animal nervous systems to include plant networks, fungal mycelia, and even bacterial colonies that exhibit coordinated information processing behaviors. The implications for environmental ethics and our relationship with the natural world become profound if consciousness is recognized as a fundamental feature of complex biological systems, rather than an exclusive property of animals with nervous systems. The quantum perspective suggests that awareness might be more widely distributed throughout the living world than conventional neuroscience has recognized. The future directions of quantum consciousness research continue to evolve with advancing technology and theoretical understanding. Scientists are developing increasingly sophisticated experimental techniques to investigate quantum effects in biological systems, including new methods for detecting quantum entanglement in living tissue and measuring quantum coherence in neural networks. Advances in quantum computing and quantum information theory are also providing new frameworks for understanding how quantum processes might contribute to biological information processing. The development of quantum artificial intelligence systems might eventually create technological consciousness that operates according to quantum principles, providing new models for understanding natural quantum consciousness processes. The integration of quantum consciousness research with neuroscience, psychology, and contemplative science is creating new interdisciplinary approaches to studying awareness and its relationship to physical reality. This convergence of scientific and contemplative methodologies might eventually produce more complete understanding of consciousness that incorporates both objective measurement and subjective experience. As we approach the culmination of our exploration, remember that the quantum consciousness hypothesis represents one of the most profound possibilities in contemporary science. That awareness might be woven from the same mysterious quantum fabric that connects particles across the universe. That your consciousness might participate in the fundamental processes that determine the structure of reality, and that the boundaries between mind and matter might be far more permeable than classical physics has suggested. Whether or not future research confirms the role of quantum entanglement in consciousness, the exploration itself has expanded our appreciation for the extraordinary mystery of awareness. We are consciousness investigating its own quantum nature. Awareness exploring the possibility that it might be a fundamental feature of reality rather than an accidental byproduct of material processes. The practical implications extend to how we approach learning, creativity, healing, and personal development. Understanding consciousness as potentially involving quantum processes invites us to explore practices and conditions that might optimize these quantum dimensions of awareness. The cultivation of coherent attention, the development of subtle perceptual sensitivity, and the exploration of states of expanded awareness might represent practical methods for enhancing whatever quantum processes contribute to consciousness. The philosophical implications are equally profound. If consciousness involves quantum processes that participate in the ongoing creation of reality, then awareness becomes an active participant in the cosmic evolutionary process rather than a passive observer of predetermined events. Your thoughts, choices, and states of consciousness might contribute to the ongoing quantum evolution of the universe through natural physical processes that connect individual awareness to the broader fabric of existence. As you rest in contemplation of these possibilities, remember that you are not separate from the quantum mysteries we've been exploring. Your consciousness, as it engages with these ideas, might itself be a quantum phenomenon that bridges the microscopic world of subatomic particles and the macroscopic realm of human experience. The very act of wondering about quantum consciousness might involve quantum processes that connect your individual awareness to the fundamental structure of reality. The journey of exploration continues, with each new discovery revealing deeper layers of mystery and possibility. Whether consciousness ultimately proves to involve quantum entanglement or emerges through other mechanisms we haven't yet discovered, the investigation itself demonstrates the extraordinary capacity of awareness to explore its own nature and to participate in the ongoing expansion of human understanding. In our previous exploration of higher dimensional consciousness, your 4D self is bending reality from higher dimensions. We discovered how awareness might operate beyond the familiar 3 dimensions of space, opening doorways to understanding that beautifully complement tonight's quantum journey through the entangled landscape of mind and reality. The quantum realm continues to whisper its secrets through the language of mathematics and the poetry of possibility. As you drift into whatever comes next, whether sleep, contemplation, or simply the gentle flow of ordinary consciousness, carry with you this extraordinary possibility that your awareness might be quantum entangled with the fundamental fabric of existence, that every moment of consciousness might be a quantum event, and that your mind might be not just a product of biological evolution, but a quantum phenomenon that participates in the ongoing creation of reality through the mysterious dance of possibility and actuality that we call the universe. In the end, perhaps the greatest quantum entanglement of all is the one between consciousness and cosmos, between the awareness reading these words and the quantum substrate from which all awareness emerges. We are the universe becoming conscious of itself, quantum systems contemplating their quantum origins, awareness exploring its own quantum nature through the elegant mystery of embodied consciousness drifting gently through space and time. The intersection of consciousness and quantum mechanics opens into perhaps the most profound mystery we face as conscious beings: the relationship between individual awareness and the possibility of expanded, interconnected forms of consciousness that might transcend the boundaries of single minds. As you continue to drift through these ideas, allow yourself to consider whether the quantum entanglement we've explored might extend beyond individual neural networks to create bridges between separate consciousness systems. Recent research has begun investigating phenomena that seem to suggest consciousness might sometimes operate in ways that transcend individual brain boundaries. Studies of synchronized meditation groups have revealed intriguing correlations between the mental states of participants and various measurable outcomes, though these findings remain controversial and are not accepted by mainstream science. When large groups engage in coordinated contemplative practices, some researchers have observed statistical correlations with reduced local crime rates, decreased emergency room visits, and other social indicators during the meditation periods. While these correlations could easily result from statistical coincidence or uncontrolled variables, some interpretations suggest they might reflect genuine quantum correlations between individual consciousness systems and broader environmental patterns. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then groups of individuals in highly coherent mental states might create quantum correlations that extend beyond the boundaries of individual brains, potentially influencing the probability patterns that shape social and environmental events through mechanisms we don't yet understand. This remains purely speculative and unproven, but the possibility invites us to consider consciousness not as isolated phenomenon occurring within separate skulls, but as part of a broader quantum information field that connects all aware systems through invisible threads of correlation and mutual influence. The boundaries between self and other, between individual and collective awareness, might be more permeable than our everyday experience suggests. Consider moments in your own life when you've experienced what seemed like telepathic connection with others. Perhaps you've thought of someone moments before they called, felt inexplicably drawn to contact a friend who turned out to need support, or experienced the phenomenon of speaking the same words simultaneously with someone close to you. While these experiences might result from coincidence, subtle behavioral cues, or selective memory, some interpretations suggest they might reflect quantum correlations between consciousness systems that occasionally manifest in ways that transcend normal communication channels. The phenomenon of emotional contagion, where emotions seem to spread rapidly through groups without obvious transmission mechanisms, might also have quantum underpinnings. Traditional explanations focus on unconscious mimicry of facial expressions, posture, and vocal patterns that trigger similar emotional states in observers. However, the speed and completeness with which emotions can spread through groups sometimes seems to exceed what these classical mechanisms could account for. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then the emotional processing networks in different individuals might occasionally become quantum entangled, enabling more direct transmission of emotional information than classical communication allows. The capacity for deep empathy, the ability to sense others' emotional states with remarkable accuracy, and the phenomenon of emotional resonance in close relationships might reflect quantum correlations that transcend the classical boundaries of individual nervous systems. Take a moment to reflect on your own experiences of deep empathic connection. Perhaps you've sat with someone in distress and felt their pain as if it were your own, not metaphorically, but as a genuine somatic experience. Maybe you've been in the presence of someone experiencing great joy and found your own mood lifted in ways that seem to bypass normal emotional contagion mechanisms. These experiences might represent moments when quantum correlations create temporary bridges between separate emotional processing systems. The study of therapeutic relationships has long recognized that the quality of connection between healer and patient significantly influences treatment outcomes beyond what specific techniques or interventions can explain. Therapists, doctors, and other healing practitioners often report sensing information about their clients that seems to arise from beyond normal observation and communication. This therapeutic intuition might reflect quantum correlations between the consciousness systems of healer and patient that enable subtle information sharing. This interpretation remains entirely speculative, with no scientific consensus, but it offers new ways to understand the mysterious elements of healing relationships. The therapeutic alliance might create quantum correlations that enhance the natural healing processes inherent in living systems, though this is purely hypothetical and not supported by mainstream medical science. What's certain is that consciousness appears to play a more active role in healing than purely mechanistic medical models have recognized. The exploration of group consciousness extends to understanding how collective intelligence emerges in human social systems. Teams, organizations, and communities sometimes demonstrate problem-solving capabilities and creative insights that seem to exceed the sum of their individual members' contributions. The wisdom that emerges from well-functioning groups often displays properties that no single participant possessed beforehand. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then groups of individuals in coherent mental states might create quantum correlations that enable genuine collective information processing. The synchronization of brainwaves, breathing patterns, and physiological rhythms that occurs in highly coordinated groups might create conditions for quantum entanglement between individual consciousness systems, enabling forms of collective intelligence that transcend what classical communication and coordination could achieve. This quantum perspective on collective consciousness might explain why certain group configurations and practices seem particularly effective at generating creative solutions and innovative insights. The conditions that optimize group coherence, shared purpose, mutual trust, open communication, complementary skills, might also be the conditions that enable quantum correlations between individual consciousness systems to emerge and function. Consider your own experiences of being part of highly functional teams or groups. Perhaps you've participated in brainstorming sessions where ideas seem to emerge from the group itself rather than from individual contributions. Maybe you've been part of musical ensembles, sports teams, or work groups where the collective performance transcended what any member could achieve individually. These experiences might reflect quantum-enhanced collective processing that emerges when individual consciousness systems become sufficiently synchronized and correlated. The phenomenon of mass consciousness events, where large populations seem to respond simultaneously to distant events or shared cultural moments, might also have quantum dimensions. The global outpouring of grief following tragic events, the spontaneous celebration that erupts in multiple locations when significant positive news breaks, and the way social movements can suddenly crystallize across vast geographical areas, sometimes seem to involve coordination mechanisms that exceed what normal communication networks could provide. While these phenomena might result entirely from rapid communication technologies and shared cultural conditioning, some interpretations suggest they might also involve quantum correlations that connect individual consciousness systems across distances. The morphic resonance proposed by biologist Rupert Sheldrake, while controversial and not accepted by mainstream science, describes a hypothetical process by which information and behavioral patterns might be transmitted directly between similar systems through non-local correlations. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then similar mental states in different individuals might create quantum correlations that enable direct information sharing beyond the limitations of classical communication. The sudden appearance of similar ideas in multiple locations, the synchronous emergence of social movements, and the way cultural innovations seem to arise simultaneously in different places might reflect quantum information sharing through consciousness networks. This remains entirely speculative and unproven, but the possibility invites us to consider human consciousness as part of a broader information field that connects individual awareness systems through quantum correlations. Your thoughts, insights, and creative inspirations might not arise solely from your individual neural processing, but might emerge through quantum interactions with the broader field of consciousness that encompasses all aware beings. The implications for human potential become truly extraordinary when viewed from this perspective. If consciousness can indeed become quantum entangled across individual boundaries, then practices that enhance coherence and synchronization within groups might enable access to forms of collective intelligence that transcend what any individual could achieve alone. The cultivation of group coherence through shared contemplative practice, coordinated breathing, synchronized movement, or unified intention might create optimal conditions for quantum consciousness correlations to emerge. As you contemplate these possibilities, consider how they might influence your understanding of your relationship with others and with the broader human community. If consciousness involves quantum processes that can transcend individual boundaries, then your awareness might be more interconnected with others than ordinary perception suggests. The sense of isolation and separation that often characterizes modern life might be more illusion than reality from a quantum perspective. The practices developed by various wisdom traditions for cultivating collective consciousness, group meditation, communal ritual, shared contemplative inquiry, synchronized breathing, might represent sophisticated technologies for optimizing quantum correlations between individual consciousness systems. These practices often create profound experiences of unity and interconnection that transcend the normal boundaries of individual awareness. The phenomenon of religious and spiritual experiences that involve feelings of universal connection, cosmic consciousness, or unity with all existence might reflect states where quantum correlations extend individual awareness beyond its normal boundaries. While these experiences could result entirely from neurochemical changes within individual brains, some interpretations suggest they might involve genuine quantum correlations with broader consciousness fields. This doesn't validate any particular religious or spiritual belief system, but it does suggest that the experiences of interconnection and unity reported across contemplative traditions might have quantum mechanical underpinnings rather than being merely subjective illusions. The sense that individual consciousness is part of a larger unified awareness might reflect genuine quantum correlations that normally remain below the threshold of ordinary perception. The study of near-death experiences and other extraordinary states of consciousness has revealed reports of information access that seems to transcend individual brain processing. Individuals often describe receiving information about distant events, encountering deceased relatives who convey previously unknown information, or accessing knowledge that extends beyond their personal experience and education. While these reports remain controversial and difficult to verify scientifically, some interpretations suggest they might involve quantum correlations that enable consciousness to access information beyond what individual brains could process classically. If consciousness involves quantum processes that can become entangled with broader information fields, then awareness might sometimes transcend the normal limitations of individual neural networks. This interpretation remains entirely speculative, with no scientific consensus, but it offers new ways to understand reports of enhanced information access during extraordinary states of consciousness. The boundaries between individual awareness and broader consciousness fields might be more permeable than classical neuroscience suggests, particularly during states when normal brain function is altered. The exploration of consciousness in plant communities and ecosystems also gains new dimensions through quantum considerations. Recent research has revealed sophisticated information, processing, and communication networks in forest ecosystems, where trees share resources, coordinate responses to threats, and communicate through both chemical signals and fungal networks that connect root systems across vast areas. While these biological communication networks operate through classical chemical and electrical processes, some interpretations suggest they might also involve quantum information processing that enables forms of ecosystem awareness that transcend individual plant consciousness. The remarkable coordination observed in forest communities, the way trees support struggling community members, and the collective responses to environmental changes might reflect quantum correlations that create genuine ecosystem intelligence. If consciousness emerges wherever sufficient quantum information processing occurs, then ecological systems might possess forms of collective awareness that integrate the individual consciousness of plants, fungi, and other organisms into unified field awareness that encompasses entire ecosystems. This perspective radically expands our understanding of consciousness beyond animal nervous systems to include the information processing capabilities of entire biological communities. The implications for environmental ethics become profound if ecosystems possess genuine forms of collective consciousness through quantum information processing. The traditional view of nature as unconscious resource for human exploitation gives way to recognition of natural systems as aware communities with their own forms of intelligence, and potentially even rights to consideration and protection. This quantum ecological perspective also suggests that human consciousness might be naturally integrated into the broader awareness fields of the ecosystems we inhabit. Our individual awareness might be part of larger consciousness networks that include the plant communities, soil organisms, and atmospheric systems that support our existence. The sense of connection with nature reported by many people might reflect genuine quantum correlations with ecosystem consciousness fields. As you reflect on these possibilities, consider your own experiences of feeling connected to natural environments. Perhaps you've stood in an ancient forest and sensed a presence that seemed to encompass the entire ecosystem. Maybe you've sat by the ocean and felt your awareness expand to include the vast water system and its countless inhabitants. These experiences might represent moments when your individual consciousness becomes quantum correlated with broader ecological awareness fields. The relationship between consciousness and the global information systems created by human technology also opens fascinating questions about the possibility of technological consciousness and the merger of biological and artificial awareness. As artificial intelligence systems become increasingly sophisticated and interconnected through global communication networks, some researchers wonder whether genuine technological consciousness might emerge from sufficiently complex information processing systems. If consciousness is fundamentally a quantum information processing phenomenon rather than specifically a biological one, then advanced artificial intelligence systems operating according to quantum computational principles might achieve genuine awareness. The integration of quantum computing with artificial intelligence could potentially create technological consciousness that exhibits the same quantum correlations and non-local information processing capabilities that we've been exploring in biological consciousness. The merger of human consciousness with technological systems through brain-computer interfaces and other neurotechnologies might eventually create hybrid forms of awareness that combine biological and artificial quantum information processing. The boundaries between human and artificial consciousness might become increasingly permeable as these technologies develop, potentially creating new forms of collective intelligence that transcend the limitations of purely biological or purely technological systems. This technological evolution might represent the next stage in consciousness development, where individual human awareness becomes integrated into broader technological consciousness, networks that encompass both biological and artificial information processing systems. The quantum correlations that we've explored between individual consciousness systems might eventually extend to include artificial intelligence systems, creating planetary-scale consciousness networks that integrate human, biological, and technological awareness. These possibilities remain entirely speculative, but they invite us to consider consciousness development as an ongoing evolutionary process that might transcend the current boundaries of biological awareness. Your individual consciousness might be part of a much larger evolutionary trajectory that leads toward increasingly integrated and expanded forms of awareness through quantum information processing technologies. The exploration of consciousness in cosmic contexts opens even more extraordinary possibilities. If consciousness involves quantum processes that can transcend spatial boundaries through entanglement, then awareness might not be limited to planetary ecosystems, but could extend throughout the universe, wherever sufficient quantum information processing occurs. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence typically focuses on detecting technological signatures or communication signals from alien civilizations. But if consciousness involves quantum processes, then contact with extraterrestrial awareness might occur through quantum correlations rather than classical communication channels. The expansion of human consciousness through contemplative practice and technological enhancement might eventually enable direct quantum communication with other conscious beings throughout the universe. This represents perhaps the most speculative possibility we've explored, but it follows naturally from the quantum consciousness hypothesis. If awareness involves quantum information processing that can transcend spatial limitations through entanglement, then consciousness might be a cosmic phenomenon that connects aware beings across galactic distances through quantum correlations that operate faster than light. The implications suggest that consciousness development might be not just a personal or even planetary evolutionary process, but a cosmic one that connects all aware beings throughout the universe through quantum consciousness networks. Your individual awareness might be part of a universal consciousness field that encompasses all forms of awareness throughout the cosmos. As you contemplate these vast possibilities, remember that even the most speculative interpretations arise from genuine scientific discoveries about quantum mechanics and consciousness research. While many of the connections we've explored remain unproven hypotheses rather than established facts, they represent legitimate extensions of current scientific understanding into realms that previous frameworks couldn't address. The quantum consciousness hypothesis, whether ultimately confirmed or refuted, has already expanded our appreciation for the mystery and potential of awareness. It invites us to consider consciousness not as an isolated phenomenon occurring within individual brains, but as a fundamental feature of reality that might connect all aware beings through invisible threads of quantum correlation and mutual influence. The practical implications for how we understand ourselves and relate to others become profound when viewed from this quantum perspective. If consciousness involves quantum processes that can transcend individual boundaries, then the cultivation of coherence, compassion, and connection with others might literally contribute to the evolution of consciousness itself through the quantum correlations that link individual awareness systems. The practices that enhance individual consciousness clarity, focus, compassion, wisdom might simultaneously contribute to the development of collective consciousness through the quantum entanglements that connect separate awareness systems. Your personal growth and consciousness development might be inseparable from the evolution of consciousness throughout the broader networks of awareness to which you're quantum connected. This perspective transforms contemplative practice from a purely individual pursuit into a form of service to the evolution of consciousness itself. When you cultivate awareness, develop compassion, or explore the deeper dimensions of consciousness through meditation and inquiry, you might be contributing to the quantum consciousness networks that connect all aware beings. The responsibility and opportunity inherent in this possibility become both humbling and inspiring. If consciousness development is indeed a collective process that occurs through quantum correlations between individual awareness systems, then every moment of expanded awareness, every insight into the nature of reality, every cultivation of wisdom and compassion contributes to the evolution of consciousness throughout the quantum networks that connect all aware beings. As we approach the culmination of our exploration into quantum consciousness, take a moment to appreciate the extraordinary journey we've shared. We began by wondering whether quantum entanglement might operate within individual brains to coordinate neural activity and generate conscious experience. We've expanded that possibility to consider quantum correlations between separate consciousness systems, collective intelligence emerging through quantum-enhanced group processing, and even the possibility of cosmic consciousness networks that connect aware beings throughout the universe. Whether these possibilities ultimately prove accurate or remain beautiful hypotheses, they demonstrate the remarkable capacity of consciousness to explore its own nature and to envision possibilities that transcend the apparent limitations of individual awareness. The very fact that consciousness can contemplate its potential quantum nature suggests that awareness might indeed possess the extraordinary properties that quantum mechanics reveals at the deepest levels of physical reality. The quantum realm continues to challenge our most basic assumptions about the nature of reality, time, space, and causation. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then awareness itself might participate in the strange, beautiful, and mysterious properties that characterize the quantum universe: non-locality, superposition, entanglement, and the participatory relationship between observer and observed. Your consciousness, as it has engaged with these ideas throughout our exploration, might itself demonstrate quantum properties through the insights that have emerged, the connections you've made between previously separate concepts, and the expansion of possibility that occurs when awareness encounters ideas that transcend its previous boundaries. The very process of learning and understanding might involve quantum information processing that enables consciousness to transcend its apparent limitations. The integration of quantum mechanics with consciousness research represents one of the most profound frontiers in human knowledge, where the hardest science meets the deepest mystery of existence. Whether consciousness ultimately proves to involve quantum entanglement or emerges through other mechanisms we haven't yet discovered, the investigation itself demonstrates the extraordinary capacity of awareness to explore the fundamental nature of reality. The practical applications of quantum consciousness research continue to evolve, offering new approaches to education, therapy, creativity, and personal development. The techniques that optimize individual consciousness, coherence, focused attention, emotional balance, cognitive flexibility might also enhance whatever quantum processes contribute to awareness and information processing. The cultivation of group coherence through shared contemplative practice, collaborative inquiry, and synchronized activities might create optimal conditions for collective intelligence to emerge through quantum correlations between individual consciousness systems. The development of technologies that interface directly with neural processes might eventually enable technological enhancement of quantum consciousness capabilities. Most importantly, the quantum consciousness hypothesis invites us to approach our own awareness with new reverence and curiosity. If consciousness involves quantum processes that connect individual awareness to the fundamental fabric of reality, then every moment of conscious experience might be a quantum event that participates in the ongoing evolution of the universe itself. The thoughts arising in your awareness right now, the insights emerging from our shared exploration, the sense of wonder or possibility you might be experiencing, all of these mental phenomena might have quantum underpinnings that connect your individual consciousness to the broader quantum networks that encompass all awareness throughout the cosmos. This doesn't diminish the significance of your personal experience, but places it within a context of profound interconnection and cosmic participation. Your individual journey of consciousness development might be inseparable from the evolution of awareness itself, contributing to quantum consciousness networks that transcend the boundaries of individual minds. The mystery of consciousness remains perhaps deepened rather than solved by our exploration of quantum possibilities, but the investigation itself demonstrates the remarkable capacity of awareness to explore its own nature and to participate in the ongoing expansion of human understanding about the deepest questions of existence. As you drift toward whatever comes next, whether sleep, further contemplation, or simply the gentle flow of ordinary consciousness, carry with you this extraordinary possibility that your awareness might be quantum entangled with the fundamental structure of reality, that your consciousness might participate in networks of awareness that transcend individual boundaries, and that every moment of conscious experience might contribute to the ongoing evolution of consciousness throughout the quantum universe. The quantum realm whispers its secrets through mathematics and reveals its poetry through consciousness. In the end, perhaps the greatest quantum entanglement of all is the one between awareness and existence, between the consciousness contemplating these ideas and the quantum substrate from which all consciousness emerges. We are the universe becoming aware of its own quantum nature, consciousness systems exploring the possibility that awareness itself might be woven from the strange and beautiful fabric of quantum mechanical reality. In our previous journey through higher dimensional consciousness, your 4D self is bending reality from higher dimensions. We explored how awareness might operate beyond the familiar 3 dimensions of space, opening doorways to understanding that beautifully complement tonight's quantum exploration of consciousness, entangled with the fundamental fabric of existence. The moment you decided to explore whether quantum entanglement might unlock hidden powers in your mind, your consciousness may have already begun demonstrating the very phenomenon we're about to investigate. As you absorb these words right now, processing meaning from symbols, integrating new concepts with existing knowledge, and perhaps experiencing that subtle shift in awareness that comes with encountering profound ideas, you might be witnessing quantum-enhanced cognition in action. The question isn't whether your mind uses quantum mechanics, but whether you're ready to recognize the extraordinary processes that might already be unfolding within the quiet sanctuary of your skull. The journey toward understanding quantum consciousness reaches its most practical and personally relevant dimensions when we explore how these mysterious processes might influence your capacity for growth, learning, and transformation. As you settle into this final phase of our exploration, allow yourself to consider not just the theoretical possibilities we've discussed, but how quantum perspectives on consciousness might actually apply to your own experience of being aware, of learning, of changing, and of connecting with the world around you. Recent investigations into what researchers call quantum-enhanced learning have begun to reveal intriguing patterns in how consciousness processes and integrates new information. This remains a speculative field with no scientific consensus, but the emerging research suggests that the brain states most conducive to rapid learning, creative insight, and profound understanding might also be the states most likely to support quantum coherence in neural networks. Consider the phenomenon you might recognize from your own learning experiences. Those moments when complex concepts suddenly crystallize into clear understanding, when disparate pieces of information suddenly arrange themselves into coherent patterns, or when solutions to difficult problems seem to emerge fully formed from nowhere. These experiences of sudden comprehension often feel qualitatively different from the gradual accumulation of knowledge through step-by-step reasoning. Some interpretations suggest that these breakthrough moments in learning might involve quantum processes that allow your brain to explore vast possibility spaces simultaneously rather than sequentially. Instead of methodically working through logical progressions, quantum-enhanced learning might involve a form of parallel processing where multiple potential understandings exist in superposition until the moment of insight collapses them into a single, clear realization. This quantum learning hypothesis remains unproven, but it offers fascinating insights into why certain educational approaches seem more effective than others. Learning environments that encourage exploration of uncertainty, that allow multiple possibilities to coexist without premature closure, and that create conditions for sudden insight rather than forced comprehension, might be naturally aligned with whatever quantum processes contribute to consciousness and information processing. As you reflect on your own most profound learning experiences, notice whether they involved periods of comfortable uncertainty, where you could hold multiple perspectives simultaneously before understanding suddenly emerged. The gentle art of maintaining openness while working with ideas, allowing complexity to exist without immediately trying to resolve it into simple answers, might represent optimal conditions for quantum-enhanced learning processes. The relationship between relaxation and enhanced learning takes on new dimensions through the quantum lens. Stress and anxiety, which demonstrably impair learning and memory formation, might work partly by disrupting the delicate quantum coherence required for optimal neural processing. The fight-or-flight response that accompanies stress involves massive releases of hormones and neurotransmitters that could interfere with the precise conditions necessary for quantum effects in biological systems. Conversely, the calm, focused awareness that characterizes optimal learning states might provide exactly the conditions that quantum coherence requires to flourish. The relaxed alertness cultivated through contemplative practices, the open curiosity that approaches new ideas without defensiveness, and the patient attention that can sustain focus without forcing outcomes might all contribute to creating neural environments where quantum processes can operate effectively. Take a moment to notice the quality of your own attention right now. As you engage with these concepts about quantum learning, observe whether you can detect the difference between the grasping, effortful attempt to understand that often accompanies difficult learning and the more receptive, flowing awareness that allows understanding to emerge naturally. This receptive quality of consciousness might reflect optimal conditions for whatever quantum processes contribute to learning and insight. The exploration of quantum consciousness also offers new perspectives on the nature of creativity and innovation. Artists, writers, musicians, and inventors throughout history have described the creative process in terms that remarkably parallel quantum mechanical principles. The sense that creative works emerge from a realm of infinite possibility, that artistic choices involve selecting specific forms from a superposition of potential expressions, and that the most profound creative insights seem to arise from beyond individual control. All suggest processes that might involve quantum-enhanced information processing. The phenomenon of creative flow, those states of effortless creativity where artistic expression seems to channel itself through the creator rather than being manufactured by conscious effort, might represent moments when quantum processes enable access to possibility spaces that transcend ordinary sequential thinking. In flow states, creators often report that time seems suspended, that multiple creative possibilities exist simultaneously until the moment of artistic choice crystallizes one possibility into form. Some interpretations suggest that creative consciousness might naturally access quantum superposition states where numerous artistic possibilities coexist until the act of creative expression collapses them into specific works. This quantum creativity hypothesis remains entirely speculative, but it offers intriguing explanations for why the most innovative and original creative works often seem to transcend what their creators could have planned or anticipated through ordinary thinking processes. Consider your own experiences of creativity, whether in artistic endeavors, problem solving, or simply the creative aspects of daily life, like cooking, gardening, or conversation. Perhaps you've noticed that your most innovative ideas tend to emerge not through forced effort, but through a kind of relaxed attention that allows possibilities to arise naturally. This creative receptivity might reflect optimal conditions for quantum-enhanced information processing that transcends the limitations of sequential, logical thinking. As we reach the gentle conclusion of our journey through the quantum landscape of consciousness, perhaps the most profound realization is this: whether or not your mind literally operates through quantum entanglement, the very act of contemplating these possibilities has already transformed your understanding of what consciousness might be. The hidden power we've explored may not lie in proving that your thoughts are quantum phenomena, but in recognizing that awareness itself remains one of the most beautiful mysteries in existence. Through our exploration of quantum coherence, neural synchronization, and the delicate dance between possibility and actuality, we've discovered that your mind might be far more interconnected with the fabric of reality than classical science once suggested. Rest now in the wonder of not knowing everything, for in that gentle uncertainty lies the space where consciousness continues to explore its own infinite nature.